ready? Cameras, are we ready? Yeah? Yeah? Good. Okay, I think we're good to go. How's the tea? Is it nice? It's very nice indeed, Kieran. Yeah, it's a very, very nice tea. Fantastic, that's good to hear. I tend to drink a cup of this myself just to calm the nerves a bit, before I do a video like this. And may I first just start off by saying this is a fantastic games room you've got. I'm looking forward to sort of when we finish the show, we can play a bit of co-op and play. I've not seen some of these games since I was a child. So yeah, thank you very much for having me on your YouTube channel. And thank you very much for hosting me in this lovely room. And of course, I'm going to host you in a series of questions. So, what we're going to look at today, a bit of introduction about what we're going to do. We're going to talk about sort of what happened between you starting YouTube to sort of now. It's been around about 10 years. Am I right? So in that 10 years, what's changed and what do you feel that's gone worse or better? We're going to look at what YouTubers are saying who have been around that long or longer, sort of I don't know, not the older end, but the experienced ones in the community, the ones who have been there for, quite a number of years, who have been sort of, well-known members of the community, shall we say. Because there is a lot of talk, isn't there, about YouTube is dead and everyone use it now just as a platform to get famous, to make money, just make content for the sake of it. We're going to have a look at retro gaming itself and is it worth it? What are the prices? What used to be the prices? Is it worth collecting? And then we're also going to look at hunting itself. So with retro collecting, with YouTube, hunting is a big part of it. So when we go out and hunt, where do we hunt? Charity shops, car boots, places like CAX. How has that changed over the years, and what difference do we have in terms of prices and in terms of what retro goods are out there? And then we're also going to touch on a word I've already said a few times, which is community. So we'll mention about the community and what is a community and are we really a community? And then we're going to go into videos themselves and what has changed again throughout those years in videos, and why do we have this sort of this perception that everyone's trying to make these everyone's trying to create a show that's compatible with Netflix and the like. And then we'll come on to a verdict and an overall answer to the question, which is the YouTube and retro gaming scene dead? Is it worth getting stuck into? Do we just end it now and just go our separate ways, find something else to do? So firstly, Kieran, before we head into these questions, could I just get a little introduction from yourself? So for anyone who's not watched your videos for a while, anyone who's been sent this way and just wants to learn about the community, of just tell us who you are and your YouTube background. Okay, yes, not a problem, Kieran. So yeah, my name is Kieran. I started my YouTube channel in 2014 with just the YouTube name of Kieran. I don't know why I ever changed it. I then changed my name to Killer Key C because I was a bit of a killer back then. And yeah, if I was on Halo or Call of Duty, I'd kill. And yeah, Killer Key C was fitting. But then of course I sort of grew up a bit and decided to stop sort of joking around. I weren't killing anyone, I was actually being killed. So we changed the name to Retro Reclaimer. So Reclaimer came from Halo itself. So in Halo, you play as the Master Chief, who is a reclaimer, and he reclaims sort of humanity's position in the galaxy, if you will. And I sort of used the R and the I, retro reclaimer, because I thought, well, I'm reclaiming all the retro games that I used to own, when they wasn't retro. So that's where that came. And so yeah, the way it came about, it was 2013. I just bought an Xbox One day one edition console. I was really excited to get it, and then I sort of around this time I'd not long had my first child. He was 10 years old now, believe it or not, and he so he'd gone to nursery and he was starting to grow up. My wife then went back to work, while she went back to work, she'd work shift pattern, sort of nights, and I was on office hours. And I remember during the evening, I'd be on my own. Oscar would be asleep, my wife's at work. What do I do? So of course, I turned YouTube on, and I put YouTube on, and I've used YouTube before that date, but never really. I think I searched something, so I'd not long bought a PlayStation 1 and a Game Boy Advance, and then I put on YouTube like Dreamcast. I remember that Dreamcast that you had. I searched Dreamcast to see what would come up, and then I come across retro game room tours, and I was blown away. I then found UK ones, and I remember messaging certain YouTubers who are no longer really in the community or make videos or content, and that sort of made me think, do you know what, you should have a go at this. So then collecting and YouTube started together at the exact same time, and I made my first video, and I was slightly nervous, but I weren't too bad really. I got more nervous as I started making more. And so throughout that time till now, we're now 2013, so yeah, 9 years. I've been sort of in and out. I've had an in and out relationship with YouTube. I started, and then I was always away, and then started, and then come back away. So if you were to look at my early videos, you'll see that, oh, I'm back, but I was never really solid until sort of in relatively recently, 2020, when COVID lockdown hit us. I then started making content again and really got interested in it, really got the urge to collect retro again, really got the urge to speak with members of the community and like-minded people. And then of course there was a lot of events and a lot of things that happened that spurred that on for everyone, it seems. And here we are today, where I'm on another good little roll. I've made a few videos in a particular month, whereas again for the past year it's been once every 2 or 3 months. So like I said, in and out relationship. Okay, yes, thank you very much for that. So you've got quite a sort of in out relationship with YouTube, haven't you? I've got an in out relationship with someone I know, but it's not YouTube. But yeah, you can sort of relate it. What is being said? This is my next question. Why we're here today talking about this? What is actually being said? Okay, Kieran. It's nice to know that we share something in common, including our love for tea. But I'm going to pass this on to you, and yeah, if you drink the rest of that, I think maybe you could do with calming down a little bit more. Okay, so what is being said? So I'm not going to mention names. I don't want to put someone's name out there and say something without being completely correcting what I'm saying or taking something the wrong way or whatever. But there's a few names who I consider sort of retro community leaders, if you will, veterans, those who've been doing it for quite a while. And I've heard things along the lines of YouTube is dead, it's not fun anymore, people are just making videos for fame and to want to turn it into a revenue to make money, and it doesn't have the same vibe that it used to have 10 years ago, when people were making videos and the community was really strong. We also hear about the word community and how we're not a community, but we'll come to that later. But yeah, what I want to talk about is, on top of that, is the people who are saying this, so they can influence, so they've got the ability to influence everyone else in the community. And if sort of the bigger channels, the long-lasting channels, the guys who have been there for a while and who people have been sub to for quite a while, if they're saying that YouTube is dead, it's making videos isn't the same, and it sort of has a negative effect on everyone else. And now I don't want to be seen as pushing a blame onto anyone. I don't want to be seen as this is wrong type of thing. But if those same people were saying the likes of, we could do better with YouTube, I'm going to throw a VR out there, or I'm going to throw this event, or let's do a meetup, or let's do this, then that'll spread more positivity, and I think the community would be better off for the likes of that. So personally, I don't agree that it's sort of dead, and I believe there is a strong community there, and maybe if we could change opinions. Perhaps it could be a much better place for everyone. You know, those who are new and those who have been in the game for a while. Okay, so talking about retro gaming itself and retro collecting. So, and we hear that retro collecting is pointless in 2013. If you've not started collecting, don't bother. Collect for the 360, but that's not retro. You can't call yourself a retro gamer or a retro collector. And I sort of disagree with all these things. Without going into too much detail, retro collecting has always been expensive. I started in 2014, and I was already started at a point where it was becoming very popular, both in the UK and the US, and other areas as well. Not obviously, you know, across the world. And with the popularity of something, obviously there's more demand and the value goes up. When the value of something goes up and the demand goes up, and the obviously the items that you're after, they get sort of bought out. And once they're bought out and sat on people's shelves, there's less of them in the wild, so they demand a higher price. And of course, we're all aware of this. We all know what happens, so I don't need to discuss about it too much. But as that happens year on year, it gets more and more and more expensive. There is a possibility that, for example, so I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't collect for the NES. I don't collect for the Master System. I don't collect for anything before that. All the Commodore 64 and the Amstrad and ZX Sinclair Spectrum. I don't know anything about those. I look at the games. I watch people collect these stuff, and I've always thought it'd been nice to delve into at some point, but realistically I probably never will, because I've no nostalgia for those games. I've no interest in playing those. They look boring to me. Playing the likes of Space Invaders and Pitfall, and there's so little colours. The soundtracks are rubbish. And I know I'm probably offending people because people have nostalgia for that, but I don't have any value for those, so I wouldn't be willing to pay that sort of money. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, my son Oscar, who's 10, I bring him in here, and there's the odd game that he will play, but the vast majority he's got no interest in. If I was to croak it, he's not going to continue this collection. Chances are it's going to get sold and moved on, and the demand will slowly come down, and eventually they might not be worth a great deal. I could be wrong, but I do think there'll be a heavy fall in terms of the value of all our collections. But yeah, at the moment it's sort of peak. So when you had COVID, they all rised really high. You could check this out on price charting, but all the prices of retro rised, and then they fell the year after, and then they've slowly climbed back up again. So yeah, the price is really high, and I think in terms of collecting full sets and stuff like that, there are ways to do it, but it seems that you need capital first. So if you're going for a full set, the only really way to get it done without, you know, being rich, is to have like an initial capital of a few £100, buy a big bundle of games, keep sort of what you want and sell off the rest. But ultimately you're going to spend a few £1,000 on completing a set, you know, probably a lot more. Whereas 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it might not have been that as difficult as that. Regardless, with that, it doesn't change the fun. It doesn't change. Everyone has a value of something. I still want all the Pokemon games in the collection, but when I first started collecting, they were about £40-50 each. I think some of the more expensive ones were about £80, and I thought that was expensive. I'm talking boxed in pretty good condition. Now they have really spiked, and you're talking a minimum of £80 for a condition, again, it's not even in amazing condition, but that's rising to 100, 150, and you know, even more than that for the really good conditions, you know, the more sought after games. It all depends on what you're willing to spend. And if we view this as a hobby, like any other hobby, if we're working full time, we should really have a pot of money. I'm talking pocket money. You know, it's not unreasonable to have pocket money to be able to fund a hobby like this. And I think if you view it that way, it doesn't really matter what it costs. I've just bought a SNES. SNES games can be expensive, especially boxed, but they're still not as expensive as PS5 games, or you know, the latest FIFA. GTA is going to come out in GTA 6, and everyone everyone will want it and everyone will buy it. The new Legend of Zelda, everyone's buying it. They're getting the special editions, 80 quid. You know, let's just throw money on it. But retro games are still considerably cheaper than that. Some of the obscure games and the rare titles, yeah, okay, there's some that go for like £1,000, but if you're not going for a full set, you can still get a decent collection. It's still enjoyable, and it's still, I wouldn't say it's dead. It's just, it's less accessible. It's more expensive. You can't really come across the sort of stuff in the wild as much as you would, but it's still there. It's still doable. So on top of that, I want to talk about again, sticking to popularity. I want to talk about sellers. So there's a few YouTubers in the community who have their own shops and they sell. So they've managed to turn it into a business. A lot of us have done videos on local video game shops where and they're everywhere. So now these game shops are everywhere because there's a market for it. You're able to create a business from it. It must be very difficult, but you're able to make a business of it. And again, it's then concentrated. The product is concentrated through these businesses, and everybody seems to know. If you don't know the value of a SNES that you've got in your attic with 10 games, you go into town and you come across a retro store. Oh, look how much that's going for. We should take it and get some money. So you're not going to find it in charity shops. You're not going to find it at car boot sales. CEX. So I just want to mention CEX. So obviously CEX are a very good. They're like the ultimate store, if you will. So you've got your individual separate stores, which I think we should all really stick to trying using those. But CEX is sort of a very good store to pop into. The stock probably changes every couple of weeks. There's certainly been new things there, and it's nice to know that you can go out in the wild, find stuff that you don't particularly want, take it to CEX for a quick trade, and there you go. You can get a nice SNES game that they've got in the window. So there's that at your disposal. So it does have positives. So I've just finished that section on it's what we make of it. So it can be more difficult, but as long as you're willing to be, as long as you're careful with what money you put towards it, and you enjoy, you collect more slower than you was 10 years ago, but just enjoy the games more. Okay, thank you. So you've mentioned a few sort of what we'd consider big names in the community, and you've discussed some of the stuff that have been said by them, and maybe what could be done better. Perhaps you've talked about how things have progressed in terms of sellers. See, that is all great stuff. So we're going to move on now to the YouTube community, and we're going to talk about this word that people don't particularly like, and I've seen in your own videos yourself, Kieran, you try to stay away from the word community. So can you tell me what you mean by YouTube community? Okay, yes, community. So a few people have been saying we're not a community, and I don't know why we're saying that. I don't know if I can only assume it's because we're not all best friends type of thing. There's some snakes in the community, backstabbers, or people who are using one another. I'm not sure. I don't have any for me, I'm only a small part of the community, but I don't really have enough involvement to feel that from anyone. But as far as communities go, no matter where you are, you can be a community of religious people who do things sort of by the book day in day out, and you're not going to have every one of those people aren't going to be perfect. Well, obviously no one's perfect, but some will go against certain things. You might have a community of police officers who are majority good, but one of them is okay to murder someone. Whatever community you're in, there's good and there's bad. There's no such thing as a perfect community where everyone just gets along and there's no drama, if you know what I mean. So, and I think you do. I think everyone is aware of that. But in terms of community, we are a community. We all know and talk with each other, and play games or have WhatsApp groups or whatever, because we have this common interest, which is retro gaming and collecting, and obviously, yeah, modern gaming as well. So within the community, you've got sort of separate cliques. You've got like the older generation who not in terms of age, but in terms of they've been on YouTube for quite a while, and they're probably closer to each other because they've known each other longer. They, they were collecting before other people, and YouTube were different back then, and things were done differently back then. So you're gonna get closer next. You've got other groups. You've got groups that there might be a particular few in the group who do things together and share sort of content or do content together, and it doesn't involve other people within the community. But again, we're still one whole community. You get these little groups of people, but with it comes opportunities. There's the likes of WhatsApp as well, and that really helps the community because you're able to put questions in there, or if you find something in the wild, you can take a picture, chuck it on there, and you get like quite a quick response because there's so many people in there. So there's lots of help and advice and stuff like that. And with that community, there's also content that's created with the community in mind, and they generally have very positive feedback towards them. I'm obviously not naming specific stuff. I'm trying to avoid naming specific stuff, but I'm sure you're all aware of sort of what I mean. One of the best examples in terms of community, and I don't mind naming this at all, and I've said it before, but during lockdown when Dainster did his live from lockdown streams, I think that was a time where the community came together more than ever. Obviously, no one can go out. There's a lot of people not working, and Dainster was a fantastic host in what he did, and he got so many people involved. He didn't stick to. I'm blowing smoke up his ass right now, but I don't care. But he didn't stick to the older generation. He didn't stick to those who've been doing it for a long time, or those with really high sub count. Everyone was on there. I myself were on there, and whether you had 3,000 subs or 3 subs, if you was in that community, and it felt really welcoming for everyone at that time, and I think that really highlights that we are a community. So yeah, I think I'll finish on that. I think I feel quite strong that we are a community and we are a good one. Yeah, there might be some bad eggs, but what community doesn't have bad eggs? Yes, okay, I think you're absolutely right. I think I come from a community myself, and there's a lot of different types of people, all with, some are good, some are bad, and some are, and that can vary between what's discussed and or what actions being taken place. And I think we live in sort of a time in the world now where we understand community, understand the difference of different types of people and what. But yeah, I think ultimately any community, like you said, is a wide range of both good, bad, positive, negative, and yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, and I agree. I think we are a community. So moving on then, I'm going to talk to you about videos. So let's just discuss videos, because we've heard that people, as you said earlier, that people talk about videos and the way content's changing. What can you tell me about videos themselves and how people are creating videos? Okay, yeah, so videos, so I don't need to speak about this for forever, but in terms of creating content, so let's just discuss again my own experience. So 2014, I had an iPhone. The camera on it was pretty poor. I tried using an iPad at times, so shooting videos was difficult because you'd use your phone or you'd get a camera. I think back then a lot of people had cameras and microphones and stuff like that, which of course were expensive, and they still are. But generally, if you've got a phone on contract, you've probably got a decent camera. I'm filming this now from a phone, and have I just broke the third wall or the fourth wall there? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Ignore that bit. It's your camera, isn't it, Kieran? It's your camera. You've got it. You're filming from a phone, aren't you? Very good. But I guess ultimately what I'm coming to is it's easier to create better content, not just in terms of accessibility to cameras, but also accessibility to different types of software that allow you to obviously edit videos and put content that way. So I'm going to throw an example. I use UCut, which I've not always used. I used to pay for a subscription to Wondershare, and then about a year ago I stopped, and now use an app on my phone called UCut, and I'm able to edit videos, input pictures, do things, and it's quite easy to use. I'm like most of us, we've not done courses right like that. It's quite easy to understand how to edit different bits together. It's made really easy. So whilst you've got that ability to make more interesting, more dynamic, more fun videos without too much stress, then of course I think if you've got the time, if you've got the energy, if that's what you want to do, then let's go and do it. I don't believe that it means by doing that you're after fame, you're after view count, you're after subscriptions. You're just having fun, and this is sort of what I'm doing now. So I'm breaking that dimension again. Is just having fun, just doing something a little different. We all generally have our pickups videos, and we just, there's no editing. We're just sat there. This is this. This is that. There might be some gameplay or whatever, but it's nice to have do other stuff. It keeps it different, and it's fun to come across different stuff. So yeah, I'll sort of end that there. All right, that's fantastic. I didn't realise it was as simple and as easy as that, and the fact that you can do it for free and just at your fingertips on your phone. So I suppose with the ease of making videos in such a way, you you can make better videos, and yeah, I agree. Why not? Why not make them a little bit different, a little more interesting? So finally, we're going to come to the verdicts then. So we've talked about what is being said in the community. We talked about what the community actually is. We've talked about videos and how things have changed in terms of collecting, of price, of all that sort of stuff. The ability to go out and hunt gems, and what is the overall verdict? Right, and getting to the end, the verdict. So, wow, I've let that tea brew for too long. The verdict. So I'm going to come to a verdict of things have changed. Like anything, things change. What people were collecting 20 years ago to what people were collecting 10 years ago to what people were collecting now and to what people will be collecting 10 years in the future is going to change. Ultimately, you collect what's important to you, what you feel nostalgic about. Like I've mentioned earlier in the interview, I won't collect for the NES. There might be 2 or 3 games that I want to play on the NES, but I don't have enough personal value towards that console or that generation and anything that's come before it. Likewise, I won't collect after the Xbox 360 because I'm picking an area there between sort of a child and adulthood where I was. That's not right, is it? Between a toddler and adulthood, should I say? And whilst you're a child, whilst you're a teenager, and you grow up playing these stuff, it's all nostalgia, what you had when you was a kid and that sort of stuff. Again, I do think that will change. I think 10, 20 years from now there'll be collectors that are more youthful than me that come and start collecting the likes of Xbox One, perhaps, if it's still viable, which is that's up for debate and another discussion. I think collecting is always going to be fun as long as you're collecting stuff that you're interested in. Yeah, it can be fun flipping a few games, making a bit of a profit. You're able to not just make a profit, but use the profits to buy the more expensive titles, which I've done plenty of. And the fun is still there. Yeah, it costs more, but as long as you're careful with that cost, as long as you're not breaking the bank or struggling to eat or pay bills, then if you've got the money and this is what you enjoy, then spend it. Yeah, you've got to capitalise, I guess, perhaps on. There's a lot of people selling the collections off. They might be at a sort of a peak level in terms of cost. Yeah, maybe selling everything is the right thing to do, but it's still it's still available to us. You can go out hunting. You're not necessarily going to come across these wicked deals and sealed SNES titles or whatever, but there's still a hunt. Yeah, you're more likely going to come across 360 games, Wii games, but there's still value there. There's still value in terms of obviously the products, but also in terms of having fun. Community and sort of the way videos are made and stuff like that, it's become easier to create better content, and there's a lot of obviously YouTubers who, you know, it's probably over 10 years, but if you think of the last 10 years, YouTube as a platform for people to make money and stuff, everyone thinks they can do it, and I get that, but majority of us in this community are just having a bit of fun, and I think we shouldn't really assume that we're trying to go beyond that. Yeah, everyone's happy to get more subscribers. If you can make a bit of money doing it, absolutely wonderful. But even if that is even if that is important to you, having Patreon, having um, these sort of subscriptions or merch or whatever, then as long as you're having fun and if people are willing to pay, they're willing to pay. I draw the line at these horror stories of, oh, my business is failing, but I'm really sad, super sad, I've got no money. I get that. Again, that's up for debate in a different discussion. But specifically, this community of collectors, of people who show the pickups and whatever, we do video responses, we do other sort of fun videos. It's certainly not dead, and I think if people who consider it to be dead maybe just reassess it a bit more, and you might possibly have influence over everything, and you might be able to see a more positive side to it. I certainly think it's still a good place. I've had more fun in the recent years than I did when I started off in 2014, and yeah, I think it could be a lot better. I think there's lots of opportunities within the community to get involved in different things. Uh, like I said, with WhatsApp, there's lots of advice there. I think it is a good place. Making content is very easy, very simplistic. Finding games is very easy, very simplistic. Yeah, they're generally more expensive, but it's with CEX and all these shops springing up everywhere. It's easy to come across the games. So yeah, it's not dead. Uh, that's my verdict. Which brings us sort of to the end of the video. So I'll pass you over to Kieran, who'll say his fair dues. Right, okay, so that settles it. Thank you very much, Kieran, for allowing me to speak to you today. And yeah, if we as soon as we close up here, we'll get straight on some of that Dreamcast and we'll play some games. But yeah, I think the question there has been answered. So to all my viewers, is retro gaming dead? Is the community dead? Is YouTube retro gaming and collecting, is it a thing of the past? Absolutely not. We're just getting started. Okay, YouTube tried something a little different there. I don't know, there's a few points I wanted to speak about, and rather than just put the camera up and just sit here talking, I thought, why not try and make it something interesting, have a bit of fun with it. I've got a few weeks off, so, 2 weeks off, so I've got time to do it, so that's why I've done it. But yeah, let me know in the comments, maybe video response, but whilst I've sort of made sort of this sort of jokey sort of interview about it all, obviously everything I said is sort of what I mean. You know, I genuinely think that there is negativity in terms of what we're doing and where the community is going, but and in terms of community itself, but it's still a fun place. There's a lot of people. I see a lot of people having fun. Yeah, collecting is harder and it's more expensive, but it's still doable. I've just bought a SNES, and I know that the games that I want to buy for it are going to set me back a bit, but if that's what I like doing, that's what I like doing. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't have a massive adventure training hobby that costs this, that, you know, an arm and a leg. I earn a living and I'm able to afford food, this, that, and the other. I've got a bit of pocket money, and with that pocket money, I don't want to collect trainers, I don't want to go out on the piss every weekend. I want to buy some games. So if it costs a lot, so be it. I can always sell it anyway. Yeah, that value might always change, but I'm having fun. So what does it make? It's disposable income, isn't it? Just have fun with it. YouTube, have fun. If you want to make fun videos, make fun videos. And yeah, the community is really good. I've always had a positive experience with everyone in the community, and yeah, I don't know why we're getting so much negativity. So yeah, leave any sort of comments below. I'd love to see video responses, but yeah, what do you think? Do you think I'm talking bollocks? And I won't be offended as well. It's obviously up for debate. Am I wrong? Is it silly, or I don't know? Do you agree with me? Let me know. But yeah, cheers for that. I'm gonna get out this still. Look at me. I've put this on, but I've still got some PlayStation pajama pants on. You don't need to change everything.